Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this latest edition of Tales from Outer Space. I hope you enjoy. The Last Stand of the Night, written by Chicken Vet. All right, people, talk to me. What have you got?
Not sure, sir.
But it's bad.
Very. We're lost contact with fire systems in the last month. No traffic in or out. We send scouting sorties, naturally, but they never reported after jumping in. The CEF are reporting similar incidents, and nothing is coming out of the Voran recovery zone either.
Any word from the assembly?
No, agents and contacts haven't said anything.
What about the CEF's channels?
We have few resources, higher places than yours. Officially, there's nothing, but unofficially, member nations across the galaxy are reporting systems going dark. Fleets are being redeployed to the room. The assembly's keeping a lid on it. As your saying goes, they don't want to cause a mass panic. Whatever this is, it's a pan-galactic problem.
And then there's what happened yesterday, Colonel.
Right. Yes, sir. 19 hours ago, Terran Standard, 3rd Fleet's 2nd Battle Group engaged a large force of unknown composition. So far, only a couple badly damaged stealth frigates have limped home. Frankly, I'm amazed they made more than 2 jumps, the ship they're in. But that's not the worrying part. They recorded the battle. Yeah.
Holy shit. Jesus, Mary, Joseph. By the fates, motherfuck! God help those poor bastards. This is verified.
Yes, sir. But there have been developments. 5 hours ago, 3rd Fleet reported contact with a large fleet of completely unknown type. They've engaged over New Athens and are holding, but just barely. The enemy deployed ground forces minutes after arriving in system. The civilian population was almost completely overwhelmed, but a rush deployment of orbital drop marines is holding the line in the capital. 12th Fleet has been directed to reinforce them with all haste.
We need information. The enemy is unknown and we can't fight in the unknown. How soon can we get a recon squad on the ground for proper observation?
With respect, that might not be enough. We need to send people behind the lines, and we might not even be able to hold the system for more than a few days. Any recon potential is a suicide mission.
Yes, Advisor Caltha.
We may have an agent you can use. He's currently deployed, but we can recall him to have him on New Athens in 2 days. Can your fleets hold that long?
Yes, but we can't guarantee they'll be around to extract this agent.
We can work out an extraction plan later. And it's just agent.
I see. A nameless. Fine. Send him. Colonel, work with the advisor to figure out how to get the agent off that rock when he's done. The entire galaxy will need to know whatever he finds. Godspeed, gentlemen. Dismissed.
New Athens. Scourge War, Day 7.
Zick! Crap, 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 crap!
I stumbled to my feet and sprinted across the cratered hellscape that used to be a city park, as more bolts of energy lanced over my head.
They found me! Not good, not good, not good! Fates, be with me!
I dove under another stone formation. The hunter drones whizzed in pursuit, blasting at the rock. It wouldn't take them long to find a way in after me. Thankfully, I only needed a few seconds.
There!
I popped a maintenance hatch open and dove into the tunnels under the city. I'd chosen that particular formation deliberately. For whatever reason, the enemy swarms didn't like to come down here. I don't know why, but I wasn't complaining. The map I'd pulled up in my ocular implant display let me go wherever I needed to. These tunnels had saved my life a lot over the past few days. After a few minutes of jogging, I ducked into a service room I'd been using for a supply cache. I needed to review the intelligence I'd just gathered. My pickup window was later today, and I still had to check out what looked like a prison camp to my low-orbit surveillance drone. Current data first, scout later. So far, I'd managed to catalog 12 varieties of planet-side swarm unit, from the little hunter drones that would just chase me, all the way up to the tank-sized armored behemoths that would bring down an armored troop ship in one shot. There's gotta be a less cliché name than swarm. I couldn't shake the insectoid imagery, though. All of the enemy troops looked like bugs. Well, except the nanite swarms. Those don't look like anything. Also, new thing that. As I typed up a new entry, I considered the other find I'd made today, or rather, confirmed. The swarm units definitely had some kind of linked intelligence. Not a hive mind, though, or if it was, the Queen allowed the individuals a great deal of autonomy. But they got smarter when more were nearby, and they could share sensory data. Communications also seemed near instant, at least with ranges of a click or less. Maybe that's why they don't like tunnels. Being underground interferes with that link. Exploitable in the field, maybe. My tablet chimed as I finished the latest addition to my report. Time to go. I grabbed a few ration bars and some spare batteries from my stealth field, then headed towards the edge of the city. There was no swarm units in sight as I exited the tunnels. A nearby building, a few dozen meters tall, offered a good place to scout the prison camp. I'd already checked that it was clear, and I made my way to the top floor quickly. Why did the bug things have a prison camp? They'd always killed everyone they came across before. What were they doing rounding them up now? Maybe they're looking for a physical weakness. No, they overrun the other systems without breaking stride. They know how to kill humans and Seth. I camouflaged myself in the rubble of what had been an office of some kind, and glassed the camp with my rifle scope. Yes, it was definitely a prison camp. The prisoners, mostly human, but a few individuals of other species as well, were left to mill about in the walled area. There were a few roof-like structures on poles, I guess for protection from the elements. As I watched, a group of prisoners were forced into an area separate from the main compound. What were they doing? I dialed up the magnification. This area only had a force field containing the prisoners. I watched, in growing horror, as a cloud of nanites descended into the cage. The prisoners jerked and twitched, screaming as the swarm did something to them. One by one, they fell to the ground, dead. What the hell was that? As far as executions went, it was terribly inefficient. An experiment. I checked the time. Still 2 hours until my rescue force would arrive. I turned my attention back to the camp. Another group was being led into the experiment cage. The previous bodies had been cleared away. The nanites descended again, and again the prisoners suffered. This time, though, a few of them got back up. Are they still alive? I dialed up the magnification again, and my heart plummeted. They were moving, yes, but I wouldn't call it alive. Their movements were unsteady, shambling. Their bodies were marked by cybernetics, just visible on the surface of their skin. Just like another swarm units. And their eyes glowed a sickly yellow. Their movements were becoming more sure as they wandered around. Suddenly, I understood. The swarm captured planets, conquering their populations, then repurposed them into new swarm units. This enemy will be a scourge on the galaxy. I continued watching the procedure for some time, as sick as it was. I had to record as much as possible to bring back. Finally, my tablet buzzed. 1 hour until the rescuers would arrive. I quietly packed up my nest and made my way back to the street. As I crossed the tunnel, motion caught my eye. A flight of hunter drones rounded the corner. Of course, it was at that moment that the human spirit of chaos decided to act. The battery, powering my stealth field, went dead. Damn you, Murphy! I ran. Energy bolts blasted thunks out of the concrete wall as I slid under the vehicle door. The building itself shook as an anti-personnel high-explosive round detonated in the street. The hunter drones had gotten back up from one of the bigger units. I brought my rifle around, going prone, to check under the door. I sighted down what I figured was the head of the unit, and I'd labeled as a shock trooper. Bam! The shot blasted out one of its eyes. Then it turned to look at me. My eyes widened as it brought its heavy cannon to bear. Oh, crap. I scrambled to my feet and barely managed to leap out of the direct blast. The shockwave still slammed me into the wall. Ow! Luckily, nothing was severely damaged. The designated LZ was only a few blocks away. A few blocks, and about 100 swarm units, maybe more. I was screwed. Then my tablet buzzed again. The rescue force would be arriving right now. I had an emergency beacon in my pack. If I could get it set up, reinforcements could drop on my position and hold off the swarm long enough to get the evac ship. I grabbed my pack and ran for the back of the building, ducking across the street outside. I reached in and grabbed the beacon. The energy bolts blasted over my head as I took cover behind a plant of trees. I keyed in the code for the highest priority with one hand as I blindly returned fire with my pistol. I got lucky as one drone went down. Sometimes you gotta love the aim assist. The beacon set. I dashed to the door of the nearest building. Luckily, the rescue ships had come in hot, and there was only a desperate minute of duck and cover before the first squad of orbital drop pods slammed into the ground outside. The hatches burst open on explosive bolts, and the Marines came out, shooting. Their heavy power armor absorbed the lighter blasts of the hunter drones, and their Omni rifles made quick work of the heavier units with bullets, energy blasts, and micro missiles. I took out a few swarm units with my rifle as they mopped up. A Marine with the lieutenant markings came over to my position. Lieutenant Harmon Deshi, 9th Marines, 3rd Battalion, reporting. I gave a wary laugh. By the fates, I'm glad to see you guys. You arrived just in the nick of time, I think to say. More drop pods slammed to the surface, discharging the Marines. Lieutenant Desi grinned through the faceplate. Yep, that makes us the big damn heroes, or something. But you look like hell, Agent. What's next? Well, my work here is done. And you're the guys with the ship. This is your show now, LT. He looked around as the machine secured the perimeter. Well, we can't stay here for long. The dropship is still coming in the original site. It's the only real option for an extraction under fire. The rest of us grunts should be down soon. We'll need to get over there, and I imagine reinforcements are coming. I nodded. I can upload a tactical package if your suits can receive from the Ceph tablet. Should help with some of the battle. Really? That'll be great. You should be able to receive if it is in standard format. He paused, consulting something on his tactical display. We're to move, Johnson! He gestured a Marine over. Sergeant, take 3 men and guard this agent here. He gets to that dropship at all costs. Got it? Johnson nodded. Yes, sir. Jenkins, Mulrooney, and Karuba. Form up on me. We're going to make sure this guy doesn't miss the bus. He turned to me. Don't worry, sir. We'll get you and your intel home safe. The relative calm was shattered as a heavy artillery pulse slammed into the building across the street, raining debris on the Marines nearby. Everyone up! Deshi yelled. Fighting retreat to the LZ. Double time. Move, move, move! We moved. It was 6 blocks to the LZ. It took us 2 hours. The enemy poured swarm unit after swarm unit at us, and we cut them down. But despite the ferocity of the Marines, we were getting cut down too. Private Mulrooney was taken down by a melee unit I dubbed the Thresher, and Specialist Karuba got his leg crushed when it was stepped on by a Juggernaut, one of the tank-like units. Johnson and Jenkins hauled me past the defended line as Karuba lay firing his Omni rifle into the underside of the Juggernaut. Seconds later, the street shook as he overloaded the fuel cells in his armor. The LZ itself had been secured by a separate drop of Marines. Our contingent was pinned down about 100 meters from their perimeter. We were down to 31 Marines from the original drop of 100. Lieutenant Deshi came over the comms. All right, boys. We all knew this might be a one-way trip. The only one of us that matters here is the agent and the data he's carrying. We need to get him to the rest of our guys. Sergeant Johnson, you and Jenkins get him across no matter what. You hear me? The rest of us will cover you. Got it, sir. Johnson nodded grimly. All right, everyone. In 3, 2... Jenkins suddenly leapt from cover, charging straight at the enemy, yelling a battle cry. Oh, crap! Everyone go, go, go! The rest of us charged right our positions. Johnson all but shoved me ahead of him across the gap. God damn it, Jenkins! I heard over the comm. It was a breathless few seconds before we hit the perimeter, followed by a scant few survivors. Lieutenant Desi was not among them. We hunkered down in a blasted-out building to regroup. A corporal approached us to update us with the situation. Agent, Sarge. Okay, Major Ruiz is overseeing the fallback perimeter around the LZ. He pulled up a map on a holo display. We're out here at an extreme perimeter. It's mostly covered, but you can see that there are some gaps, and we're pretty sure that there's pockets the enemy hold up here, here, and here. Once we start pulling in, things are going to get very messy very quickly. We'll probably end up fighting our way to the fallback point, despite our best efforts. The Major has a squad tasked with getting you guys there. They'll follow your lead. Catch your breath while you can, because we're moving out in 1 minute. It might even be less than that if the damn swarm comes again. We nodded warily as we ran. The new squad joined us, and a moment later the order came to move out. Perhaps sensing weakness, as the enemy moved, the swarm units redoubled their attack, rushing the positions we were abandoning. I watched as the rear guard was eviscerated by close-quarter shock units, before my squad pushed me forward. The retreat was chaos. Every energy blast cracked and flashed all around us, Artillery pulses blew out pieces of building, burying squads in debris. We lost 2 members of my escort when a kamikaze unit exploded a few meters from us. There was no time for a medic. Another 3 were gunned down when we stumbled across a nest of entrenched anti-personnel units. A barrage of omni-fire made short work of them, but their ambush cost time and lives. We barely made it to the fallback perimeter, managing to take cover around a building as an artillery barrage tore up the street behind us. We made our way straight to the building to be used as an LZ. Major Ruiz met us there. "Thank God you made it, boys. Listen, the evac dropship is on its way now, but there's quite a furball going on up here." He pointed to the sky. "I thought you came in stealth ships," I frowned. "An artillery strike rocketed the building." "Well, yes," Ruiz replied. "But the swarm ships found 1 frigate when we dropped. We jumped in a carrier group to hold them off, but we won't have much of a window. The dropship's coming from the pretty far out, so we'll need to hold for at least 30 minutes. "Can you manage for that long?" Johnson interjected. "We'll hold. We'll have to," Ruiz nodded. I looked out over the battlefield. The command post had good sightlines. Too good. I watched as units of Marines were overrun, the perimeter barely holding. I shook my head. "There's no way, even if you do hold." I made a quick tactical assessment. "If I get out, none of you do." The 2 humans looked at each other. Ruiz spoke. "Agent, are you familiar with the Battle of Thermopylae?" I shook my head, and he continued. "Something like 3,000 years ago, an unstoppable empire invaded Greece, the birthplace of one of our greatest civilizations, the ancestor of our modern society. A group of a few thousand Greeks held off an army of 10,000 for 3 days. One group, the Spartans, covered the retreat after they were betrayed. They stayed to fight. All of them were killed." Johnson picked up the story. "They were buying time, and it worked. The other Greeks mobilized and beat the invasion. The Spartans died to make sure Greece would live on." I understood then. These Marines had never expected to return. They had dropped onto a fully occupied world for the sole purpose of buying time. They were selling their lives to buy the galaxy a fighting chance against the Scourge. Now I knew why we called humanity the hero species. I saluted them then, these heroes. "It's been an honor knowing you, Hero Ruiz, Hero Johnson." They returned the salute. The moment was ruined as another artillery barrage brought down a building across the street. We took positions at the edge of the landing site. "All right, ladies," Ruiz barked. "Dropship inbound in." He checked the display. 22 minutes. The agent is going to be on it. Now these skittering sons of bitches around us are going to do their damnedest to kill us, all before then. But I say, we're going to take so many of them with us, we won't need fortifications for all the corpses. What do you think?" The response thundered around the final holdout. "Hoorah! Hoorah! Hoorah!" The Major grinned. "Let's give them hell!" The last stand of the 9th Marines, 3rd Battalion, commenced. The swarms kept coming, and we kept firing. When Marines' Omni rifles ran dry, they pulled out plasma-charged blades and ran into the enemy, usually taking down at least 3 units. None of them ever broke. Even if they backed away to a new position, they did so while pouring fire into the enemy. One Marine killed 3 swarm units as he was torn apart by a 4th. Another was literally devoured by one of the larger units. He armed the grenades on his vest as it happened. None of them broke. All of them fell. The swarm burst onto the rooftop just as the dropship arrived. Ruiz went down under a mountain of them. He was still firing just as Johnson picked me up, sprinted to the open ramp, and threw me in. As the ramp closed and the ship took off, I saw him being mobbed by dozens of threshers and other close-quarter units. He fired into them one-handed as his other hand primed a grenade. His last, long, defiant battle cry rang in my ears. "Get Fecked!" From Adam, a memoir of a hero species. End of story. I would quickly like to thank the T5 channel members and Patreons. Casper Arnholtz, Cam Maxwell, Barky, Lord Azrakal, It's Difficult to Pronounce, Dragzoon WRE, Holly's Sister, Arcadian. Thank you very much.